Welcome at the final video lectures of PV Technologies. In these final lectures, I will review various aspects of the PV technologies in general. The learning objectives of these videos are diverse. What are the record efficiency for lab scale cells and modules? How do record efficiency scale with the device size? What are the efficiencies of modules in mass production? How do the learning curves of PV modules and systems look like? What is the market share and the learning rates per PV technology? Which metrics can be important for the PV technologies? What are the pros and cons of the various PV technologies in relation to these metrics I will introduce? In this video we will focus on the record efficiencies for lab scale solar cells and modules. The global installed PV power has seen an unprecedented growth in the last 15 years. The cumulative global installed PV power has grown to around 305 gigawatt peaks at the end of 2016. The year that the global PV will exceed 1 terawatt is in sight. In 2016, solar electricity was responsible for 1.3% of the total electricity production, a contribution that is expected to keep on rapidly growing in the future. The red bars illustrate the amount of global PV power that has been installed annually. These annual installations have been steadily growing as well, indicating that the production capacity for PV modules is still expanding and the annual growth is expected to increase further. These impressive figures have been a result of 3 decades of research and development advances in the various PV technologies discussed in this course. Next, I will discuss the annual charge with record efficiencies of the various devices as function of time. The advances in all these technologies are going really fast. Record after record is being reported. Therefore, I have to warn you that some of the efficiencies I mentioned in the following video lectures can already be outdated in a few months after the recording of this video lecture. I will do my best to keep the following lectures up to date. The current version is of October 2017. But let's consider the crystalline silicon PV technology first. The record efficiency for crystalline silicon PV cells under one-sun conditions has been reached using the so-called heterojunction crystalline silicon technology in combination with an interdigitated back contact configuration. Kaneka in Japan has achieved an efficiency of 26.7%, approaching the theoretical efficiency limit of 29.4% for crystalline silicon technology. The efficiencies of multicrystalline silicon-based PV cells are approaching 22%. Trina Solar has demonstrated P-type multicrystalline PERC cells having an efficiency of 21.3% for typical 6-inch wafers. On the 33rd European PVSec conference in Amsterdam, Fraunhofer ESA presented an N-type multicrystalline solar cell with a 22.3 efficiency based on high prime wafers, but with a smaller area of only 2 by 2 centimeters. If we focus on the most important thin-film PV technologies, we see that the record stabilized efficiency for thin-film silicon PV equals 14.0%. The PV cell was based on amorphous silicon, nanocrystalline silicon, triple junction processed at AIST in Japan. ZSW in Germany has set the world record for the CIGS PV devices with an efficiency of 22.6%. First Solar is responsible for the world record for thin-film cadmium telluride PV technology. This record equals 22.1%. If we consider the 3.5 PV technologies, we see that Alta Devices has achieved the record conversion efficiency of 20.8% for thin-film single-junction gallium arsenide PV cells. Boeing Spectral Lab has demonstrated a 5-junction bonded cell with an efficiency of 38.8% on the 1000 watts per square meters, so standard test conditions. On the concentration, the 4-junction gallium indium phosphide, gallium arsenide, gallium indium arsenide, gallium indium arsenide 4-junction bonded device architecture has resulted in the highest efficiency reported for any PV device, which is 46%. This was accomplished by Soitec, CEA, and Fraunhofer ISE. If we look at the new emerging PV technologies, Sharp has demonstrated a dye-sensitized solar cell with an efficiency of 11.9%. Certified efficiency for single-junction organic solar cells is an 11.5%, and for tandem cells it's only 10.6%. The perovskite solar cells have seen a rapid increase up to an efficiency of 22.1% in the last decade. Note that the efficiencies of the emerging PV technologies are not corresponding to stabilized efficiency. The performance of these cells suffer from degradation. And here we touch upon a weak point of the NREL efficiency charts. It's basically comparing apples and oranges. Some of the record efficiencies are stable efficiencies and some efficiencies are not stable. Furthermore, some of the efficiencies are reported for small lab scale devices with a size of 1/10 of a square centimeter, and some are reported for large 6-inch wafer-sized solar cells corresponding to an area of 250 square centimeters. This is at least 3 orders of magnitude scale differences between lab scale cells and wafer cells. Therefore, I prefer to present the record efficiencies per technologies as a function of the device size. I will show you that in the next video.